Every time I'm about to record, an ambulance, a fire truck, a police, some crazy person is outside yelling. Day 2. Day 1 was frustrating. Made mistakes I probably shouldn't be making, but that's life. I should probably also move this camera because I'm like tilted here. I don't want to reset anything up. Anyways, so today, according to my to-do list, I am going to be designing an intro page, and along with that, the concept for this website. Because up until now, I actually have no idea what I'm actually building, because it's not really the purpose of this endeavor. It's a learning experience. I'm just gonna move the camera because this is so awkward. I actually haven't thought about what the website will actually be. I thought maybe it can be some sort of a portfolio or whatever. The content and the design of it, well, the design of it, we want it to look nice, but the content doesn't really matter because this is just about learning the stack, like the technology stack, right? And so day 2 is going to be all about figuring out the visuals for the site, all the placeholder content that we're gonna use to then play around with some of this tech that I want to learn about. So let's get started. I only have an hour, maybe an hour and a half for today. So hopefully we get a lot done. Kick things off with some quick inspiration research. I found this one. It's more of a product. It's a really dope site, but I didn't want to do a product type showcase. I want something a little bit more of a world. I landed on this company, Anduril. They make really crazy drones and stuff. It's got this really cool sci-fi type of vibe with these wireframe landscapes. I think that's going to be a really awesome aesthetic. It'll feel minimal but kind of unique, so I don't have to worry too much about making things ultra photorealistic. And I think I can get lucky with some drone models. This website is actually something I've been studying literally for years, since it got released. It's made by the people at Immersive Garden, absolute rock stars. This is really, the experience I want to base a lot of the interaction and around for this dream site project. Here I am in Figma, just pretty much trying to storyboard in some kind of loose way what the intro sequence is going to be. I think that's really as far as I got. It was only an hour, or maybe even less than an hour. I'm just kind of plotting out the, key points in an intro animation. I like to just be super disorganized at first in Figma. Came up with the name Hadron, found a cool font, used it, ran with it. I quickly pulled up GPT and had it give me some text. I hate working with lorem ipsum, so that little bit helps for sure. I'm basically just using the screenshots I grabbed from Anduril's video as my placeholder assets, just so I have something to work with as I kind of work through the UI. I'm working on a project right now, and my art director, Max, started doing stuff like this where it was like a mono-spaced font for the buttons and the UI text. So I kind of brought that into this as well because I thought it was going to be pretty appropriate for the branding that I'm kind of spitting up here. So obviously I'm going to have a lot of heavy assets. I already know I'm going to need some sort of a loading screen. So I got started on that. And I think that this might change, but I don't want to spend too much time making this super fancy, just because I've done this before and it's not something that I want to spend a lot of time developing as far as interactions and things are concerned. I quickly wired up how it would feel like to click enter and then go into that loading. I wanted this squeezing effect, like you're zooming in, so all the UI kind of come together in the middle. Doing quick prototypes like that, quickly wiring it up just to see if that idea even makes sense, is really helpful for me. So I like to just do little prototypes that have one movement, just to, because my mind can't make that mental leap. Here my Figma file is starting to finally be a little bit more sane. And this is pretty typical where I start off really chaotic and over the course of the concepting phase, it becomes more organized. So I took a note here on what I was going for to transition and try to get that like squeezing effect. I thought it would like feel like you're focusing on something. You can see here the brand color is like that highlight is red. I think at some point I changed that. So, you know, making some notes here about what the camera is doing and all the things I'm going to need to figure out in Blender. And then potentially in React 3 Fiber. So we'll see what happens in Blender. I didn't get into Blender today, but that's kind of day 3, I think. We'll be finishing this up and doing a lot of modeling work, and then finally getting back into code, you know, the main purpose of this whole thing. I'm really hoping I get lucky with a drone model so I don't have to like make one because I don't want to spend time doing that. So with the enter and like loading asset screen kind of figured out, I wanted to now have, similar to that Immersive Garden Dior website, this scrolling experience. So like as you scroll, there's text appearing on the screen. So, you know, I'm kind of just trying to flesh that out here, what that would look like. So I go back to the reference there quickly, try to see how do they prompt the user that you have to scroll to, you know, to move forward in the experience. I created this little mouse cursor UI. I'm not sure if that's going to look good. It felt very techy and, you know, Iron Man vibes. So kind of just running with it. Here, I'm literally just clicking and dragging it around, trying to see if that's even going to work. Who knows? I might have to redesign that. I used GPT just to not have lorem ipsum because I hate designing with lorem ipsum. And here I'm kind of faking some sort of an animation by just zooming in. You know, I can't state it enough how valuable it is for me and to be able to just wire up and prototype one little idea or motion. It shows you that the idea works, but also makes you a little bit more excited that whatever it is you're designing, I don't know, it's just like fuel for the creative juices. For some reason, I started drawing some rectangles and also doing bare minimum prompt engineering there. I'm just literally like, give me text so I can just use something. You know, I'm not sure if this is even going to be the final UI that I want. In the reference, you kind of just keep scrolling and move from one room to the next. So I might pivot and do something different here. Or I can have each of these rectangles be kind of like a portal or a view into those different rooms, and have this really cool seamless transition into another page, which is part of my like tech goals, I suppose. So I need some assets for these cards. So I quickly jumped into Midjourney to see if I could get lucky there. So I did some prompts. I don't know if I actually found anything. It did generate like a really dope drone looking thing. I went into Pinterest to see, okay, for the mission card, maybe some sort of a map type of graphic. Yeah, this is the drone. So right away I realized this map graphic might compete with my wireframe background. So just basically hop back to Pinterest to try to get more inspiration. Unfortunately, no luck really. So now I'm looking for like just drone references and things like that. And I started stumbling upon brand. So I wanted to hone in more on the art direction, the overall colors and stuff like that. And I went on Pinterest and found and went down this rabbit hole of gradients and lights. And honestly, now looking back at it, I don't know if that's the move. Just because I've established this whole world here. And so now I'm going to like kind of try to make it work. I've also shifted the color here from red to blue, just being influenced by what I was seeing on Pinterest. So now, yeah, I think I might try to make the gradients work. But I don't know whether or not that's going to be like a 3D asset or like a Photoshop asset or something. Yeah, kind of play around with that. So the backgrounds for these call to actions, I thought, okay, let's maybe just have different gradient light treatments. I've seen that kind of work before, but I kind of quickly found that each block, like the flow from each block, like where the light was coming from, it felt awkward, that they weren't related. And it's strange because you would think like, well, they're their own cards, so it's okay if they're not completely related to each other. But you can already kind of see there it felt busy and almost a mistake. So I went something with a little bit more cohesive, and just now playing around with colors. So maybe it has the same shape, like as far as the light, but just different colors to signify different types of content or pages, whatever you want to call this. Well, I guess I call it path. So I ran with that, and that's basically where I ended up. So overall, I think day 2 was magnitudes more pleasant than day 1, thank God. But we'll see, because now I have to kind of refine this. Day 3, I'm going to be going into Blender, which I won't be as fast. I'll have to learn some kind of new techniques, which I am excited about. But the challenge with doing your own side project like this is staying in scope, being focused, and making sure you're not getting too carried away with the design, and that you're keeping, the goals in mind. And the goal for me is to learn how to use some of the technologies that I've always wanted to learn, while also, of course, making some dope looking stuff. So day 2 in the books. Hope that there's some valuable nuggets and insights here. I don't know. Maybe this is just for me. But I hope you find value in it as well. See ya.